Wish, Temu, AliExpress, everyone's at least heard of these marketplaces that connect Chinese retailers with a global audience. But hearing about them doesn't necessarily mean you should buy from them. Computer parts on these sites, not to mention all the other things, are often low quality and of questionable utility, which has led to some hilarious shenanigans.
I told you this would be horrible.
Oh God! On the streets late at night, cause I'm small. That is not what pectoral muscles look like. But surely Chinese consumers wouldn't put up with this kind of nonsense from their countrymen. What are these same marketplaces offering to the Chinese domestic market? To find out, we bought this. Just kidding, it's really late. From TaoBao, which is essentially a China-only version of AliExpress from Alibaba. It's a pretty normal-looking pre-built computer, except that it cost the equivalent of just $300 US. I know, right? 300 bucks for a new computer? I mean, sure, it only has a GTX 1060, but that alone would cost about $70 over here, giving them just over 200 bucks for a 14-core CPU, 32 gigs of RAM, not to mention motherboard, power supply, case, and storage. How does the math work on this? While the system was listed at 2,000 yen or about $300 US, we had to shell out significantly more to have it inspected and then shipped out by a third party. TaoBao does offer international shipping, but it is limited to only certain items, and the sellers expect to be interacting with customers entirely in Mandarin. That means our out-of-pocket cost was closer to $600 US, but that is only due to extra costs that would not be incurred by a Chinese buyer. So let's have a look at what they would get. Starting with the case, which is a case. Actually, I don't really have a ton of complaints here. You've got ample room for airflow. It's not filtered, but you've got 3 fan mounts behind here, meaning you should theoretically be able to install an AIO liquid cooler. The side panel is tinted plexi rather than tempered glass, but it does use a convenient thumb screw-based mounting mechanism. And the front I/O is easy to access, even if I would have preferred to have a USB 3 port rather than just USB 2. The only question then is who exactly makes it? You see, the manufacturer on the box is Kintar, but they sometimes go by the name Jinda. The QR code on the box tries to go to jinda168.com, but that website is gone, and the domain can be purchased for less than the price of this computer. Jinda168 seems to be a shipping vessel of some sort, but we have no idea if it is in any way related to Kintar. We eventually found Kintar's site, kintar.com.cn, and that revealed that this case is called the Jindao, or Fighting Knife, which explains the very warlike imagery on the box. Its English name would be probably something like Kintar Knife Fight. Okay, who told you that? Is that from Andy?
No, I just did that.
Wow, it's only $17 with the USB 3 port? Believe it or not, the computer wasn't the only thing we got in our package. We also got a keyboard and mouse, copyright 2016. Ooh, it looks like copyright a lot longer ago than that. But to their credit, at least they don't try to oversell the thing, with the only marketing claims on the front of the box being that the keyboard has 104 keys. Yeah, that sounds like 104 keys. And that the mouse is 1000 DPI. What else we got in here? Oh wow. This is far more of an accessory package than I was expecting. This is hilarious! No! Okay, story time. There is a Razer Mantis desk pad that has been in active service for over 13 years, making its way from my desk at NCIX to Luke's test bench, now to Emily's workstation. The thing is, it looks absolutely nothing like this. It's about 4 times the size, significantly thicker, and is actually made by Razer. Anyway, that doesn't mean it won't work well enough for our purposes. Let's get our setup deployed here. Wait, I forgot about the other stuff. There's what appears to be a very good 10-foot patch cable, a USB drive that I would definitely plug into my computer, 32 gigs, and for some reason, an HDMI to VGA adapter. That seems like the kind of thing that I could probably just pick up separately if I really need it, huh?
It also comes with a screwdriver.
Hey. What the, oh, what? Oh, this is also inexplicable. The computer is assembled.
It's in case you need to open it.
that quality molding. I want to take a bit of a closer look at this computer. Cable management, you know what? Far from the worst I've ever seen. They took the time to route the front I/O cables around the back of the motherboard tray, and actually, same goes for the 24-pin, the 8-pin, and the 6-pin GPU power connector, but there are a few eyebrow raisers in here. I have never heard of this brand of power supply, the Baisuo CX650, that manages, oh, that's scary, a whopping 384 watts on the 12-volt rail and is rated for 500 watts. That is a very deceptive name, Baisuo. Oh, and also, it is only rated for 220 volt AC input. How are we gonna power this thing? Oh no, we have that sketchy adapter Alex bought. I knew that was coming.
Yep.
For those wondering, by the way, we did try it with North American 120 volt wall power, and it did work for a little while. So their universal AC input from 150 to 264 volts is misleading at best when there's up to 47 countries that it won't even power up in. Also, we're pretty sure we were supposed to get a GTX 1070, not a 1060, but the page disappeared in between the time that we ordered the product and when it arrived, meaning that I guess that practice also takes place on domestic Chinese sites. The SSD is supremely unremarkable, other than being so no-name brand that we weren't even able to find a listing for it. It's 256 gigs, and Crystal Bench clocked it at around half a gig on both reads and writes, which is about what you'd expect. What you wouldn't expect is this RAM. Both are DDR4 as advertised. Both of them use Samsung chips, which is good, but one of them comes from a Lenovo pre-built, and the other one seems to come from some kind of network switch. The bad thing about that is it means these are almost certainly secondhand. The good thing, though, is it means they're almost certainly not counterfeit. Because why would you go out of your way to put a random third-party sticker on it when Samsung is what's going to sell it as quality? Anyway, it's DDR4, 2133, and it's ECC, which raises some questions about the rest of the components. You see, ECC memory is for servers, and this motherboard is like no server motherboard, or really any motherboard that I've ever seen before. It is neither as short as an MATX board, nor is it as long as an ATX board, and in fact, the mounting pattern on it is so unusual that only 6 of the 10 holes were able to be screwed in this case. What are you? To find out, let's get it fired up. Look. Sorry, this isn't really supposed to be part of the video, but look how short the cord is on this mouse. How the heck am I supposed to plug this in? Like I'm trying to, Oh, we never talked about I/O. That is a lot of USB 2 for a modern motherboard, which could be foreshadowing. Moment of truth. Whoa, that is a gigantic American Megatrends logo.
I don't know how you got into that BIOS, because every time I've tried to get into the BIOS with a USB keyboard, it hasn't let me. I've had to use a PS2 keyboard. That really throws a wrench into that thing.
Xeon CPU. Well, that explains the whole ECC memory bit. That doesn't tell us the full story of this motherboard, though. We'll get into that later. PCIe Gen 2 only? Overall, nothing too weird in here other than NVMe configuration. A platform this old shouldn't support NVMe devices, and yet there it is. This is weird. Oh, is this just an external drive we don't have plugged in?
No, if it's Synaptics.
Synaptics? Why does it have Synaptics drivers? Oh no, it's in Chinese. Hold on, I can do this. Device manager, crap. Oh, actually, this is useful too. I'll get to that later. Device manager, crap. Device manager? Crap. Device manager.
Why don't you try
Crap.
just opening the start menu and typing in device manager?
Why don't you try minding your own business? No, I mean, no, I know other ways to do it. I want to guess it. No results for device manager. Okay, hold on. Properties. Yes. Oh, it's still all in Chinese, except network adapters for some reason. That's all English all the time. Let's go back to system properties. 32 gigs, Xeon E5 2680 V4. A 14-core chip? That's not the fastest by modern standards, but hey, 14 cores is 14 cores, and that would be what? Haswell generation? So should even be fast enough to game, especially if you don't have a super OP GPU.
One ongoing problem that has kept happening with this is that it doesn't like when you just kind of plug a network cable into it when it's already on.
Oh, what? What a piece of shit. But hey, at least it has rocket ships for arrow keys. Wait, I was mistaken. Products formerly Broadwell, so a slightly more tuned 14nm chip from Intel. Retailed for $1,700 back when it was current. It's not so much anymore. Speaking of current, what on earth is this presumably web browser icon? Everything we installed is over here on the right, while the pre-installed software is over here on the left, and I guess in the start menu, no, there's basically nothing there, which raises a couple of questions like, where is Microsoft Edge? Nowhere, it turns out, because the system is running a cracked version of Windows 10 Enterprise. That might also explain why we booted straight into an admin account rather than being prompted to create an account and a password. As it turns out, this piece of software is called 360 Secure Browser, and it's made by, I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher this, Qihoo. They often brag about having a high install base, but in actuality, it seems more to do with the fact that it comes bundled with Qihoo 360, which is kind of the Norton of China. Naturally, it's nearly impossible to uninstall, to the point where the US has accused Qihoo of acting as spyware for the CCP, particularly during the Xinjiang incidents. There's otherwise nothing remarkable about the Windows install, and while we didn't go out of our way to monitor for it, it doesn't seem to be calling home in any particular way. Shall we play some video games? That is not a lot of FPSs. 60, yep. 65 at the 1% lows. Give it a sec, she's settling. Oh, actually that's weird. It's not bad according to FrameView, but it feels awful. 79 FPS, 1% lows. This should be more than okay. You know what it probably is? It's gotta be the terrible mouse. Let's see if it can handle something a little more demanding. Not bad. Not bad at all. Medium settings, 1080p, solid 60 to 70 frames per second. I mean, this is absolutely playable. I mean, you might not be playing Starfield or anything like that, but if you keep your expectations realistic, this is an awful lot of gaming per dollar. So it works, but let's fire up hardware info and see if there's anything else we can learn about it. Well, one thing we learned is the CPU temperature monitoring isn't accurate. Actually, neither are a lot of these numbers. And another thing we learned is that this motherboard is even weirder than we thought. Notice anything about the CPU chipset? Yeah, me too. You see, B85 was designed exclusively for LGA 1150, Intel's 4th generation core consumer product. It shouldn't be possible for that to be paired with an LGA 2011 socket. That's designed for servers and high-end desktops. Also, B85 motherboards used DDR3 RAM and lacked support for NVMe storage drives, and yet here they are, plain as the LTT underwear on my nether regions, lttstore.com. We may never know exactly what's going on here, but what we can do is take some educated guesses. You might have encountered these videos of people reclaiming old chipsets from dead or useless motherboards using an angle grinder. And the B85 chipset, along with its other 8 series siblings, was widely used in office pre-builts like the Dell Optiplex or the Lenovo ThinkCenters of the early to mid 2010s, meaning there are millions of these chips out there in machines that businesses will literally pay to have removed. Sounds like a business opportunity. But who would want a piddly quad, or worse, dual-core CPU these days? If you could modify the capabilities of the chipset to create a low-cost board that could support a more powerful workstation CPU, then obviously that would take some extra steps, but it seems that there's a very active community of Russian tech enthusiasts that are doing just that. Not only using these boards, but actively developing for them. There are thousands of pages of forum posts and wiki entries covering custom BIOSes, overclocking tips, and general quality of life improvements on motherboards very similar to this one, all in Russian. This could be driving not only additional sales of these boards from people that stumble across these resources, but also an improved out-of-box experience for them if sellers of these systems are updating their products using the work of these forum and wiki posters. Judging by the date of the BIOS on this system, that could very well be the case. Chipset repurposing has been going on since at least Computex 2019, when I bought a motherboard on the trade show floor that the seller claimed used a brand new X79 chipset, only for me to discover when I got home that Intel had, as I suspected, discontinued production of X79 years prior, meaning that it was almost certainly harvested just like this B85. At that time, however, I guess the market for these things was relatively small and could be served by desoldering real X79 chipsets and resoldering them onto new board designs. This LGA 2011 motherboard from Machinist is the first example that I've encountered of stretching the truth when it comes to the specs for these things. The name implies that it has an X99 chipset, but in fact, it's using a C612 chipset, a workstation chipset that is functionally similar, that is to say it's intended for the same class of CPUs at least, but includes support for dual CPUs, meaning that these are probably getting harvested from retired servers. These boards are really interesting, but I think the real question is, are they worth anyone's time? The prospect of recycling chipsets definitely holds some environmental appeal to me, especially if they're coming off of non-functioning hardware. But as we demonstrated in our last $69 gaming PC series, it's very inexpensive to buy old cast-off office machines and workstations from businesses, making it hard for something like this to be cost competitive. If you're gaming on a budget, I would definitely recommend the liquidated hardware route, assuming it's available. We'll have a couple of really good options for that linked down below. Of course, that strategy assumes that you live in a place where nearby businesses have such workstations in the first place, which might be why sellers on TaoBao have taken this approach instead. It's not the best deal for everyone, but it's almost certainly the best deal for someone. And if you're looking for a way to get gaming on a budget, along with a chance to do some tinkering and research, this certainly offers the opportunity for all of the above. It also offers the opportunity for me to segue to our sponsor.
Seasonic. This company is like the Wayne Gretzky of power supplies, and if that's a bit of an old reference, it's only because Seasonic has been doing this for a long time, over 40 years. So they're the people you want to hit up for a great power supply at a great price, like the Seasonic Focus GX 750 watt gold power supply. It has a fully modular interface, and its hybrid fan control keeps things nice and quiet, so starting up your PC doesn't sound like a launch sequence. The Focus GX achieves an 80+ gold rating, meaning it's energy efficient and reliable. It's so reliable it's backed by a 10-year warranty, so even if it does inexplicably shoot off into space, Seasonic has your back. Learn more about the Focus GX 750 and Seasonic's other power supplies at the link below.
If you enjoyed this video, why not check out our latest $69 gaming PC build? I think we'll give this a run for its money.